Welcome to class number 20 of our medium-level refrigeration and air conditioning course. In this opportunity we are going to study the main characteristics and working pressures of the refrigerant gas r513a. Let's start by saying that r513a has been developed to replace r134a refrigerant gas in new and old low and medium temperature refrigeration equipment, as well as high temperature applications, such as chiller-type water chillers. R513a is generated by mixing r134a refrigerant plus r1234yf gas. The main purpose of R513a is to offer a refrigerant with similar properties to r134a, but with a much lower global warming potential. In fact, as we will see later, the global warming potential of r513a is only half that of r134a. This allows it to be used in areas of the world with greater environmental demands and give more years of life to equipment that is working with r134a and that may be affected by ecological regulations. R513a has the advantage of not being flammable or toxic, as well as being used as a replacement for r134a. On older equipment, it requires little or no system changes, as it does not require a compressor oil change. It also has the great advantage of having a practically similar compressor discharge temperature. On the screen we have the table of pressure and temperature of the refrigerant gas R513a. We are going to study its most used pressures. Let's start by saying that R513a has no slip, therefore the bubble and dew pressures are practically the same. For an evaporator temperature of 5 degrees C, about 41 degree F, according to the table, there is an absolute pressure of 56.12 pSAE. Since the value in the table refers to absolute values, we must subtract from this value the atmospheric pressure of the place where the equipment is located, which for this case we are going to take a value of 14.7 psi as atmospheric pressure. Like atmospheric pressure. Subtracting 56.12 ps and minus 14.7 ps and gives a gauge pressure of 41.42 ps and g. Thus, for example, for an evaporator temperature of 0 degrees C, about 32 degree F, according to the table there is an absolute pressure of 47.32 psi. Like the table value, they refer to absolute values. We must subtract from this value the atmospheric pressure of the place where the equipment is located, which for this case we are going to take a value of 14.7 psi as atmospheric pressure. Subtracting 47.32 ps and minus 14.7 ps gives a gauge pressure of 32.62 ps and g. Thus, for example, for an evaporator temperature of minus 5 degrees Celsius, about 23 degrees Fahrenheit, according to the table there is an absolute pressure of 39.62 psi. Since the value in the table refers to absolute values, we must subtract from this value the atmospheric pressure of the place where the equipment is located, which for this case we are going to take a value of 14.7 psi as atmospheric pressure. Like atmospheric pressure. Subtracting 39.62 psi minus 14.7 psi gives a gauge pressure of 24.92 psi g. Now, for an evaporator temperature of minus 10 degrees Celsius, about 14 degrees Fahrenheit, according to the table you have an absolute pressure of 32.91 psi. Since the value in the table refers to absolute values, we must subtract from this value the atmospheric pressure of the place where the equipment is located, which for this case we are going to take a value of 14.7 psi as atmospheric pressure. From the atmosphere. Subtracting 32.91 psi and minus 14.7 psi gives a gauge pressure of 18.21 psi ng. So, for example, for an evaporator temperature of minus 20 degrees Celsius, about minus 4 degrees Fahrenheit, according to the table you have an absolute pressure of 22.17 psi. Subtracting 22.17 psi and minus 14.7 psi gives a gauge pressure of 7.47 psi G. Now, my colleague Paco is going to list a summary of the main characteristics of the r-513a refrigerant gas, which you should know before working with this gas. Go ahead Paco, with the explanation.
The characteristics of the refrigerant r-513a are 1. r-513a refrigerant is a blend of r-134a refrigerant at 44% plus r-1234yf refrigerant at 56%. 2. r-513a refrigerant is a low GWP, non-flammable, alternative refrigerant belonging to the A1 loan group, which allows equipment manufacturers to comply with future HFC regulations. 3. The r-513a refrigerant has a GWP of 629, but has a weak point with a slightly lower efficiency than r-134a. 4. r-513a refrigerant is a drop-in, direct replacement for r-134a, in existing high and medium temperature commercial and industrial refrigeration equipment, positive displacement and direct expansion. 5. In addition, r-513a refrigerant is presented as an excellent alternative in systems with centrifugal and screw compressors. 6. All Danfoss TurboCore series compressors, produced from December 2017, are compatible with r-134a and r-513a. 7. r-513a refrigerant is a climatropic, non-slip blend. 8. By providing efficient r-134a equipment that is future compatible with r-513a, the long-term investment customers make in their equipment is protected. 9. Your company's chiller offering of r-134a products that can be used with r-513a provides peace of mind with the initial investment. 10. Carrier has announced that its Aqua H, 19XR and 23XR, and Aqua Force, 30XV and XA chillers are compatible with r-513a refrigerant. 11. The higher vapor density of r-513a on the suction side of the compressor results in a higher mastic flow rate. 12. When using r-513a, the mastic flow rate is increased by about 15%. 13. Depending on the diameter of the pipes, a higher mastic flow rate causes a significant increase in the pressure drop, in some lines, and an increase in the compression ratio of the compressor. 14. r-513a is also known under its trade name option XPTEN. 15. r-513a is compatible with the equipment, components, and joints of an existing installation of r-134a. 16. r-513a is compatible with co-synthetic oils.